ever wondered why some athletes perform exceptionally well during practices but struggling during competition?
Why do coaches create a game like drills instead of simply asking the athletes to repeat the same movement?
Practicing a skill over and over enough to success in a real game?
The answer lies in one important concept, the motor learning.
In this presentation, we will explore the importance of motor learning in sports coaching. Ano, tara?
Before I explain why motor learning is important, let me ask you a question. If a student practices a basketball layup every day and make 20 successful shots, does that mean that the student can perform the same way during a real basketball game? The answer is no, and here's why. So what did you observe? What changed? The skills didn't change, the player didn't change, but the environment changed. In the real game, the player must observe the defender, make decisions, protect the ball, control their speed, and react quickly to changing situations. This shows us that movement is not just physical. It also requires thinking, decision-making, and adapting to the environment. According to Magil and Anderson 2023, skill movement is developed not only through repeated practices, but also through learning how to adapt movements to different situations. So what is motor learning? Motor learning is the process of acquiring and improving movement skills through practices and experience. It results in relatively permanent changes in a person's ability to perform a motor skill, allowing them to apply that skill effectively in different situations. However, effective practices is not about repeating movements endlessly. It is about helping learners understand when, where, and how to use those movements successfully. Now, imagine you are the physical education teacher. Would you only ask your student to repeat layups over and over again? Well, probably not. A better decision would be to create activities that closely resemble to the actual game. This idea is called representative learning design. Representative learning design means that practice should reflect the same movement demands, decisions, and environmental conditions that learners will experience during actual competitions. Instead of practicing layups without defenders every time, coaches can include defenders, requires quick decision-making, encourage communication, and create realistic game situations. Now, notice the difference. Students are not only learning how to shoot, they are also learning when to shoot, where to move, and how to make good decisions under pressure. And that's exactly what happens during real competition. Now that we understand why motor learning is important in sports coaching, let's explore how these principles are applied across different sports. To discuss that, let's welcome Teacher RJ.
Hey everyone, I am RJ Galapon and I will discuss the importance of motor learning in sport coaching, followed by some current trends in motor learning, physical education, and sport pedagogy. First, motor learning principles are very important in competitive sports. A coach does not only condition athletes or make them repeat drills. A good coach also creates learning situations that help athletes perform effectively when the actual games become unpredictable, complex, and unmeasured. Practice should therefore include situations that are similar to the actual demands of competition. Athletes should not only practice the movement itself, but also practice making decisions and responding to changing situations. The same idea applies to different sports like volleyball, badminton, dance, gymnastics, athletics, and etc. The main point is that effective practice should prepare athletes for the condition they will actually experiencing during performance. Now let's proceed to the current trend. Trend 1, from activity-centered to learning-centered PE. The first trend is the shift from activity-centered to PE, learning-centered PE. A PE class can be very busy. Students may run, sweat, and play for the entire period. However, being physically active does not always mean that students are learning effectively. The goal of motor PE is not simply to keep students moving. Teachers also to make sure that students are actually developing movement skills, knowledge, decision-making, abilities, and confidence. For example, instead of simply allowing students to play basketball for the whole class, the teacher can create activities where students learn how to make better decisions, move into open space, or work with their teammates. Therefore, the focus is not only in how active the students are, but also on what they actually learn from the activity. Therefore, the focus is not only on how active the students are, but also on what they actually learn from the activity. Trend 2, physical literacy and lifelong participation. The second trend is physical literacy and lifelong participation. PE is now viewed as more than just preparation for competitive sports. It is also an opportunity to develop movement competencies and encourage people to continue participating in physical activities through their lives. Physical literacy includes not only the ability to move, but also confidence, motivation, knowledge, and understanding. For example, a student who learns how to swim enjoys swimming and feels confident in the water and continues swimming even after finishing school. So the goal of PE is not only to create a good athlete, it is also to help students to develop a positive relationship with physical activity that can continue throughout their lives. The third is the ecological dynamics and the conscience-led approach, or the CLA. This approach recognizes the skills movement is adapted. In other words, athletes need to adjust their movements depending on the situation. The conscience-led approach focuses on the interaction of three types of constraints. First, individual constraints. These include things such as height, strength, experience, confidence, and fatigue. Second, task constraints. These include goals, equipment, and the number of players. Third, environmental constraints. These include the place-based surface, weather, and social environment. Teachers and coaches can change this condition to help athletes discover effective ways of performing instead of simply telling them exactly how every movement should be done. For example, in basketball, imagine that students are having difficulty moving into open space. Instead of repeatedly shouting, "Move," the teacher can change the condition of the activity. The teacher could reduce the teams from 5 versus 5 to 3 versus 3, make the playing area larger, limit how long a player can hold the ball, or give points for successful passes into open space. This change encourages students to find solutions by themselves. The important idea is that the task itself can help teach the players when the teacher carefully designs the conditions. To summarize, effective motor learning in sport is not only simply about repeating movements. Athletes need practice that reflects the real demands of competition. In PE, the focus is also moving toward meaningful learning, physical literacy, lifelong participation, and adaptable movements. As future physical education teachers, we should remember that our goal is not just to make students active, but to help them learn, adapt, make decisions, and become confident and enjoying physical activity throughout their lives. And that's all my parts, and thank you.
Today everyone, for my part, I will discuss trend 1, from activity-centered to learning-centered PE. First, a basic PE class does not always mean that students are learning. Students may run, sweat, and play for the whole period, but they may not necessarily learn new movement skills or improve their knowledge and decision making. Because of this, modern PE focuses more on what students actually learn, not just on how active they are. Teachers should provide meaningful activities where students can develop their motor skills, knowledge, decision-making, and confidence. The main idea of this trend is that PE should not only be about being active, but also about learning and improving skills. For example, instead of simply letting students play basketball, the teacher can teach them proper dribbling, passing, teamwork, and decision-making during the game. So that's all from my part. Thank you for your listening.
Good day mga ka-SEMUans! I am Darrell Arhauhau and I will be discussing the second trend, which is the physical literacy and lifelong participation. So what is physical literacy and lifelong participation? Physical literacy means having the skills, confidence, motivation, knowledge, and understanding to participate in physical activities. While, on the other hand, lifelong participation means continuing to engage in physical activities throughout life, not only during schools or sports competitions. Sample of this in physical literacy, a student learns how to dribble, pass, shoot, and move properly in basketball. They understand the rules and become confident in playing. While in lifelong participation, after learning basketball in school, the student continues playing basketball for exercise, recreation, or enjoyment even after graduating. And overall, physical education is not only about preparing students for competitive sports, it also helps develop movement skills, confidence, motivation, and knowledge that encourage people to stay physically active throughout their lives. And that is the main idea of physical literacy and lifelong participation. Thank you everyone, and I will be passing the next topic to my co-reporter.
Everybody, my name is Tensi Anantantua, and today we will talk about the ecological dynamics and the constraint-led approach, or the CLA. In the simple terms, CLA means the task teaches. Instead of the teacher always telling students exactly on how to move, the teacher changes the game or the environment itself, so the student can discover the best way to move on their own. There are three types of constraint. First is the individual constraint, and these are the things about the player like their height, their strength, and experience and confidence. The second one is the task constraint. These are the things about the game like the rules, the number of players, and equipment. And the last one is the environmental constraint. These are the things around the player like space, weather, and the playing surface. I have here the example, which is the basketball example. So the problem here is that the student don't move on into an open space. In the old approach, as you can see there, a coach or a teacher might just keep shouting, move, move, and move. But with the help of CLA, instead of constantly telling students or your players on what to do, the teacher or the coach can actually change the condition of the game. For example, the teacher or your coach can reduce the teams from 5v5 to 3 versus 3, so the student have more space to move. The teacher can also enlarge playing area, use a 3-second rule to encourage faster decisions, or give points for successful passes into an open space. Notice that the teacher doesn't have to constantly tell them where to move. The changes in the task encourage students to discover the movement themselves. That's why we say the task teaches. So the constraint-led approach, or the CLA, helps learners become more adaptive, better decision makers, and more game ready. As a future physical educators or teachers, instead of controlling every movement, we should become designers of learning environments. So remember, be a designer, not a dictator rather. And that's all. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.